All right. So today we are learning how to draw an acorn. So this will be one option of what your final product will look like, but a lot of us will just have one big acorn, and that's okay. So I have a real acorn with me. I have two actually. This one is a normal acorn that you normally see on the ground, and this one has some green in it. So it doesn't mean anything's wrong with it. It just means that it has a different color. Or that it just fell from the tree, actually. So when we are drawing today, you'll have the option of adding some green at the end. So that's what I mean. We will refer to this many times. So what you will need as far as supplies is, and if you don't have it, don't freak out. Use what you've got. Make it work. If you just have crayons and you just want to draw lines that way, that's okay. But I have a piece of watercolor paper, so it's not printer paper, acrylic paint, but any type of paint that's not watercolor, and a watercolor palette, a pencil, paintbrushes. All right, let's get going. So the first step for your acorn is let's observe the acorn that I have. So this acorn, it's not really long and skinny, it's more short and stubby, and it kind of reminds me of a boy's head, and then a boy's haircut. Do you see what I see? I don't know, my brother kind of had this haircut. We used to call him Coconut Head. So this is the shape that we're going for, but if you can't get that shape, it's okay. I want your art to be your art and very original. So my first step for this, and I'm going to draw on a Sharpie, but you are not going to draw on a Sharpie, is you are going to draw a line like this, kind of like a frowny face, but I can't frown because I'm not sad. So kind of a frowny face, not a super frowny face, just a little one. And then you are going to draw a curved line down, and then a curved line down that way, okay? The next step is you are going to connect those lines. Remember, pause me if you need to. Won't hurt my feelings, I won't know. And then for your actual acorn shape, it is going to come in like this, and there is a little, not a super point, but there is somewhat of a point at the bottom. And then you're going to add your stem. So you don't want to have just a line, you want to make that line into a shape so we can paint something in. Because how do you just paint in a line? You can't. So after you have this shape, remember you can have 1, you can have 2, you can have 12. I don't care. So if you want to add another one coming off the page, I could draw one sideways. I could do my frowny face like I had, a line down, bring it off the page, and then add my acorn and my stem. So this can be mine, but this is another one that I did a little while ago. So it's up to you. I want you to design your acorn how you want it. Now, after we have this drawn, I'm going to teach you something so cool. So when we use a paintbrush, we normally use the sides with the bristles. And I always tell you to take care of my paintbrushes, because if we all break them, we can't use paintbrushes. I won't have any money left. So we always are light on our tiptoes of our paintbrushes. We never stomp the paintbrushes. But did I ever tell you that you can actually use the other side for something? So the first step that you're going to do is you are going to paint with the brown acrylic paint, or the brown paint that's not watercolor. You are going to paint the tops of the acorns, the part that I said looked like my brother's hair. So I'm going to paint these brown. Okay, so I'm going to do one at a time because I want the paintbrush to remain wet. The paper to remain wet when you do this step. So crosshatch is what we're going to do. And crosshatch is when you do lines one way. So I'm using the other side of my brush, and I'm going to do lines going one way And then I'm going to go back the other way. So this one didn't show up super good because I probably didn't add enough paint. So for the next one, I'll add some more paint. So you want to make sure there's a good amount of paint. Let's try it this way. There we go. So I'm going to do diagonal lines one way. Y'all see that? And then I'm going to go the opposite way, which is called crosshatch. And I am going to form the design of my acorn top. Okay? So, does yours have to look exactly like mine? Please make it different. Make your acorns in different spots. Make your crosshatch more close together, more spread out. I want to see what you can do, and I want you to be as creative as you can be. So this is the first part, and that's the only part that you'll do with the acrylic paint. So do we see the design that we just did in our acorn? I think it's pretty cool. What do you think? So then I am going to get the watercolor paint, okay? So if you're using the same brush, make sure you clean this brush. I have another brush, so I'm not going to use that same brush. So the first thing that I'm going to do for this, remember mine might drip because I'm picking it up, but you are not going to pick up your paper. You're going to keep it flat because I want all that beautiful paint to stay beautiful on your paper. You pick it up, it's going to drip like a waterfall. So I'm going to get some watercolor brown on my brush, and I am going to paint my acorn brown. Okay. So for this one down here, I'm going to paint it brown, but I might treat it like the acorn that still has a little bit of green on it. So if I want to do that, I don't want the whole thing to be green, so I'm only going to get a little, and then I'm going to add water, because when we use watercolor, water is our best friend. If we did not have water, there's no such thing as watercolor. So this first one is just brown, and this one has green and brown. Is there a right or wrong? Is one of these right and one of them wrong? No way, because one of my acorns is brown, one of my acorns has green on it, okay? So both are correct. So this is mine. The next step is whenever this dries, you can choose a color background. I don't care what you do, but I'm gonna show you really quick. If I get brown and water it down, and I use only vertical strokes, so it's gonna be lighter in some places, darker in some places. It's your artwork. Remember, I want you to love it. That's the most important part. It kind of looks like tree bark. So if you want to keep it with that fall feel, you could add some orange. So let me get some orange on here. So what I do not want is I do not want you to have all sorts of white in your background, because we never see acorns on the ground with a white background. You'll either see gravel or even just a color. So what I want you to do, you get the point. This is my acorns. Can you have more than two? Absolutely. Do you have to do one with green on it? No way. You can do both with green. It's up to you. But I want you to use crosshatch in one way or the other. So remember, my crosshatch was done with the back of my paintbrush. Who knew, right? So I am going to remind you, when we do crosshatch, you want to go one direction, and then I want you to cross your original lines backwards, and it will form crosshatch. So if you do not have paint with you and you are using crayons or oil pastel, you can use brown to color in the tops of the acorns. and then you can use black to do your crosshatch or white. So it is up to you. Remember to send me a picture on Canvas inbox or my email. And if you have any other questions, let me know. All right, have fun.